So Trump started something here that I really don't think he understands. Just how much he screwed his administration, just how much he screwed this country, just how bad the long-term impacts of this will be. But let me walk you through this here. So we discussed the other day how there were a bunch of legal South Korean workers here who were working at this Hyundai factory in Georgia. And what happened was ICE rolled up military style and shut that whole bitch down and started mass arresting people and literally putting chains on their legs and their hands and around their waist and like really making a show and a point of the cruelty to try to pretend like these are illegal immigrants and we're going to kick them out of the country and all this stuff, right? Well, now we have Rafael Rashid, a Seoul-based freelance journalist, went into detail here about exactly what went down. And this is really ugly. So let me walk you through it and then we'll get to the backlash from this. So he says the following. A repatriated Korean worker from the Hyundai LG battery factory secretly wrote a detention diary about their seven-day experience. They were there for 7 days in ICE custody in Georgia. The worker says ICE officers mocked them with words like North Korea and Rocket Man despite holding a business visa. The worker held a B-1 visa for a 2-month work meeting and training trip. They were body searched while wearing a hard hat and safety boots at 10 a.m. on September 4th. ICE gave arrest warrant forms at 1:20 p.m. with no explanation and no Miranda rights read. The workers thought that completing the forms would lead to release. The worker wrote, which was shared with Yonhap News, red wristbands were placed on workers after they submitted forms. They secretly messaged his family saying contact might be cut off. So this is pictures of what it looked like with them being, handcuffed. Workers were handcuffed with cable ties and some were chained at the waist, legs, and wrists. Transport vehicles had toilets inside with a strong urine odor, and there was no air conditioning provided during the journey to the detention facility. Workers were initially housed in a 72-person room with bunks, 4 shared toilets, and 2 urinals. There were no clocks or outside view. Mattresses had mold on them. The provided water smelled bad. No basic supplies were initially provided to the detainees. It was so cold that some detainees heated towels in the microwave to warm themselves. The worker secretly obtained a pen and paper on day 4 to begin writing his detention diary. The formal intake process was completed on day 4. During the September 6th ICE interview, officers asked if they were from South Korea. When they confirmed, the officer smirked and mentioned North Korea and Rocket Man. The worker wrote being angry but restrained themselves. When they asked why they were arrested despite legal B-1 entry, the ICE officer replied, I don't know either, but some people above think it's illegal. Stephen Miller, most likely. Some ICE officers admitted to other detainees that ICE had made mistakes, according to the diary. Wow, so other ICE officers knew this was fucked up. On September 7th, 4 officials from the Korean Consulate General and Foreign Ministry met the detainees. The consulate reportedly told workers, getting home first is the most important thing. Sign whatever they ask you to sign unconditionally. The Korean officials warned that disputes could mean detention for anything from 4 months to several years. They informed detainees, Jesus Christ, disputes could mean being in prison from 4 months to several years? They informed detainees that signing would mean forced removal, visa cancellation, and a charter flight home. More ministry officials visited on September 8th. The worker wrote, I was angered that they seemed unable to understand why B-1 visa entry was considered illegal and was frustrated at their focus on sending us out. Workers were told to sign voluntary departure documents filled with language about being illegal. Release came on September 11th at 1 a.m. when buses departed for Atlanta Airport, leaving what Yonhap described as a hell-like detention facility. So these legal South Korean workers here to help with the Hyundai LG battery factory to get it working were put through hell, had their liberty and their freedom taken away from them for a fucking week. Quote, nobody is going to stay and work when it's like this, one of the deported South Korean factory workers said.
Nobody is going to stay and work when it's like this. After this situation, we considered leaving our jobs. I don't know how the visa will work next time, and there will be some people who need to go there, but I have to think about it.
It says some 300 South Koreans working in Georgia returned home Friday after being taken into custody last week.
They went there to help the U.S. The U.S. side also wanted them to work there, but now they are being treated like criminals, which feels very unpleasant. Since they're not actual criminals, the fact that they were taken away like that, I think that's a real problem.
So we got all that. Quote, this would make you think twice about investing in the United States. Foreign firms weighing U.S. Georgia projects chilled by Hyundai ICE raid. So in other words, any foreign countries that were like, hey, we should invest in the U.S., make some deal, invest in the U.S., they're all like, should we do that? Should we do that? Because seemingly, it could get shut down at a moment's notice. You could have your workers screwed over at a moment's notice. The psychotic president could levy a illegal tariff on you at a moment's notice, just based on how he's feeling that morning. Why would they fuck with us? Why would they ever make a deal with us? There's literally no reason to do that. You'd have to be a sucker to do that at this point. And so I really don't think people get it, bro. Like, it is, the U.S. is in serious trouble, like serious, serious trouble. All of our allies are going to want to make deals with each other and maybe look to China for global leadership. None of them are looking to us anymore, which means our trade relations fall apart. But also, even the dollar is the world reserve currency. Tick-tock on that, bro. Like, that's going to go away too. I don't think there's any doubt about that anymore. It's just a matter of time. Now, the flight to safety, as they call it, is not to the dollar. It used to be to the dollar. When there's an economic downturn, the dollar gets stronger. Now, the flight to safety is to gold. Why? Because everybody's like, fuck the dollar. The U.S. are not the global leaders anymore. And so here we are. Here we are. Yet again, another example of how this man is absolutely screwing us over. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.